Houston Real Estate Radio starts right now.
Welcome back to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm Shannon Register, and today we are talking with SERVPRO. They're a restoration company. Very interesting. I've got Chris here in the studio with me and Gary. Chris Harashe and Gary Showmake are here to talk about what they do for both commercial businesses and can do for homeowners, because when you've got a big problem on your hands and need it resolved quickly, SERVPRO they have the capacity to come out and help quickly, respond quickly, and help you get it cleaned up, fixed up, whatever needs to be done. Is that right?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
So 24/7, you're always on call, ready to fix whatever the damage is.
Around the clock.
So
Yes.
when the hurricanes come through, you can help?
We're ready for them. Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming you would recommend flood insurance to all homeowners.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Flood insurance is something that a lot of people don't want to get when they're not in a flood area, because obviously it's a cost and a lot of people never use it. But it's something that we like to recommend to homeowners because you never know if you're going to need it or not. When a lot of the claims on the homeowner side of it that you deal with, do you see that a lot of it is covered by insurance, or a lot of it's just out-of-pocket costs for the consumers?
On flood in particular, NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program, it will cover a portion of the loss, but not the entire loss like an insurance policy would. But it certainly is a policy you can use to fill that gap, if you will, because sometimes rising waters on insurance policies are not part of a covered loss. And I say this as a former insurance adjuster, though I'm not a policy expert. I know that to be a fact.
Okay. And so what are some other things you guys do as SERVPRO besides when the hurricanes come through or when people have flooding issues in their homes? What are some other issues that you address?
Well, we are a full-service restoration company. We do mitigation as well as rebuild, any kind of insurance-related work. Like Gary kind of expound upon that.
Yeah, fire, water, smoke, odor, mold, biohazard cleanup really are the primary services that we offer.
Can you really fix all of those things, or can you just address them and help with the problems? I mean, like, so for example, a house that's been on fire, had the kitchen burned down, the kitchen's rebuilt. Can you ever get that smoke smell completely out of the house without doing a complete rebuild?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I mean, it's a specialized trade, a craft, if you will. Essentially, all of the charred, burned material needs to be removed. Everything that's remaining needs to be cleaned and then sealed or encapsulated, if you will, to hold those odors within. And also, we have other processes. We use hydroxyl and ozone that will actually destroy odors at the molecular level.
Absolutely. And then typically in a fire scenario, once the mitigation portion has been completed, as far as all the burnt material coming out and being demoed out, all the stud walls being sealed for odor control purposes, and then we'll come in and put in the new drywall, new insulation. Insulation's important to replace once it's got the odor, and the houses can be brought back to pre-loss condition or better.
Or better. That's always nice to get an upgrade.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So Chris is the Vice President of Construction. So tell us what the process is if let's look at it from a company perspective. If your restaurant catches on fire and you have to shut it down, you're looking at a lot of loss. What's that process for getting it rebuilt? What do you come in and where do they begin? What do they do?
Well, first of all, they'd have to hire us as their restoration company.
Okay.
We come in, and loss of business use is going to be a big deal,
Sure.
typically for your businesses. A lot of money at stake here. The value really of using a restoration specific company that deals with insurance related losses is that we use the same software that your insurance adjuster uses.
Okay.
So we're comparing apples to apples. A regular general contractor is going to send them an estimate that they're not going to know how to read nor want to look at at all. So it's a great idea to go with a qualified restoration company.
Okay.
We'll come in, write an estimate, compare it with the adjuster's estimate, agree on a scope of work, a dollar amount, and then we'll get going on it.
Okay. And how do you guys get paid? Do you get paid when the insurance pays out, or is this something companies have to pay up front? How do they handle that cost?
We will get paid when the insurance company pays the customer. Typically, they'll cut a check pretty quickly for a mobilization draw, and then we'll have
Just
a draw
kind of
schedule.
on draws.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, if in the event that a homeowner has an issue, let's flip back to homeowners for a minute. A homeowner has an issue. How long on average? I mean, I know as a realtor, you can build a house in 180 days, from very beginning to very end. What are homeowners looking at when they have a huge flooding problem or half the house burns down kind of thing? What sort of time frame is it? Does it take longer than a normal build because you got to do the cleanup and then rebuild, or?
I would say it doesn't take any longer than normal rebuild. It's the mitigation portion can go very quickly. I'll let Gary kind of expound upon the mitigation portion.
Yeah, there's two different aspects. I mean, the flood aspect is different from the fire aspect. If you have a flood in your home or of your place of business, typically the demolition and the cleanup that's required is quite selective. In other words, we might do a 2-foot or a 4-foot flood cut on the walls, depending on how high the water got. We'll remove all the carpet and the flooring and those types of things, salvage contents, and then essentially what we do is prep the facility or the structure for the general contracting division to come in, write their scope of work. Fire is something different altogether. Fire requires typically a pack out of all of the contents, where we literally take possession of all of the contents of a home or a place of business. We remediate, that is clean and deodorize all of those contents, while the general contracting side is inside doing demolition and rebuild of that facility.
Okay. And Gary, he is the Regional Director of Commercial Business Development. So you do more of the mitigation on the commercial side, is that right?
Well, I do. I mean, I grew up on the residential side. I started in this business 16 years ago as a uniform crew person on the production side, moved into operation and then sales and marketing. It's just a natural progression in this industry that you start off in residential and end up doing commercial and then large loss commercial across the country.
Do you see a lot of large loss commercial? I mean, is this how big of an industry is this? Is this something where you're busy every day, all the time, too much work to do, or it's a few times a week you might hear about something and go bid on it kind of thing?
Well, there's
because if you're not in the industry, you don't hear about it very much, unless it hits the news.
Yeah, there's never enough hours in the day. When I'm not actually servicing large commercial losses, I'm out building relationship with facilities directors, property managers, building owners, people like that, and speaking with them about our services and trying to gain contractual relationship with them, so in the event that they do have a loss, that we will be their preferred vendor.
All right. And tell us about the different levels of water damage that can happen in a home. What homeowners should look at as being, oh, this is really bad, I better get somebody in here quickly, versus I might could do this myself kind of job.
Well, there are actually 3 different classes of water losses, and the classes basically are clean water, which would be clean water from any pipe within your house, even frankly from a toilet tank. I mean, a toilet tank, believe it or not, has clean water in it. From any pipe in the house would be clean water. The second class of water loss would be what we call gray water. That would be typically the stuff that comes out of your washing machine or your dishwasher that has detergents in it, those types of things. And then, of course, the worst case scenario is what we call black water or sewage water, which really has some special issues that need to be dealt with by a professional, because we have a lot of pathogens within that sewage water, and how we mitigate that loss and the types of structure demolition we do that has come in contact with this black water is different from white and gray water.
Okay. It gets complicated the dirtier the water is, huh?
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk for a minute about mold in the home. I've had homeowners in the past who have purchased homes that have a little bit of mold issue that the inspector finds and points out to them, and they want it resolved before they move into the home. What do you recommend?
Well, by Texas state law, you now must be certified to remediate mold in a residential or commercial property. The key aspect in that regard is how many contiguous square feet do we have of actual mold growth that we can visually see, and that measure is actually 25 contiguous square feet. If it is 25 contiguous square feet or more, you must have an industrial hygienist or a qualified professional write a removal protocol for that mold damaged structure. If it's less than that, no protocol is required. It's best to, at that point, to go ahead and seal, if you will, or seal it off and do what we call a surgical demolition of that area. And the other aspect of that is once you go to 25 contiguous square feet, or once you mitigate anything less than 25 contiguous square feet, you must look 2 feet beyond that to make sure that it hasn't grown beyond that scope of work. But that's the basic example of whether we have to have a protocol written in the state of Texas or not.
So without a protocol, can anyone remove it that's not licensed, or you still have to be licensed?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, can anyone remove it? Yes. However, there is certain rules that we follow internally, protocol that we follow internally. You don't want to just go in and start disturbing those mold spores and have them become airborne, get into the HVAC system, and have airborne contaminants throughout the structure. You really want to treat the mold, in other words, kill it or disable it in place, and then you want to carefully remove it so you don't have that mold spore explosion, if you will, to millions, if not billions, of mold spores traveling throughout the structure. So, yes, anybody can remove it, but there's certain things that you need to be careful of while you're doing that.
Well, let's kill the myth about the Clorox, because everybody says you can just spray it with Clorox and it'll go away.
No, it'll make it look better for a little while, but it will not kill the mold spores. Yeah.
The biggest two areas where I see mold in homes is under the kitchen sink, where it's had a drip at some point and it's growing mold, and in the bathrooms above the showers on the paint, where it's starting to grow some mold from all the humidity in there. Those two areas, if you wanted to go to Lowe's and get some kind of product, can you do that? Is there something out there? Do you have to call a professional to get it?
You don't really. You can go to, on occasion, when I have to treat a small area of affected structure with mold on a commercial or residential property, you can buy these in half-gallon jugs, a mildewcide or a mold-destroying agent, if you will. You can get them at Lowe's, you can get them at Home Depot, you can get them at your local janitorial supply house. They're readily available to the public.
Okay. And another thing that I see a lot of homeowners deal with, a lot of sellers have to deal with, is if they smoke in the home regularly. And now they're trying to sell the home. They come in and repaint it, and it just doesn't take care of all the smells. They have to recarpet, and sometimes even that doesn't fix it if they've been smoking in the home for 20 years. Any advice for homeowners trying to sell who have the smoking issues in the home? Anything they can do?
That can be kind of the same as a fire situation, really, where you've got that odor throughout the house. So you're going to have to seal and then paint, just to seal all the tar and all the foul odors from the cigar smoke out from coming forth. And also any kind of soft surfaces, such as your carpets, things of that nature, are going to have to come out. Cleaning them, it's not going to do it to get the odor out. You got to get rid of them.
Got to replace it.
And sometimes even seal the subfloor if it's that deep of an odor.
Cleaning of the HVAC is also important, because remember, all that smoke gets up into the return air in the HVAC system. That is important too, as well as ozoning, as I talked earlier about the destroying the odor at the molecular level with ozone or hydroxyl.
And that's something that a company can come in and do for the homeowner? Is that
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, when you talk about cleaning the HVAC system, are you talking about duct cleaning?
Yes.
Okay.
Duct and unit, yes.
And unit cleaning.
And the coil, you can pull the coil out and clean it as well.
Okay, very good. All right, Chris and Gary, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And how can consumers get in touch with you if they've got a problem, or if there's an owner of a company out there who may have an issue going on and they need some help with?
If anybody's got any questions or need to get in touch with me directly, my direct line is 281-779-0892.
Or they can call our office. That's 281-219-8180.
All right. And you guys are with SERVPRO of the Woodlands Conroe. You service the entire Houston area. Is there a website for SERVPRO?
Yes, it's www.servprothewoodlandsconroe.com.
So any kind of mess that anybody needs cleaned up, they can just call you and you can take care of it, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Allow us to come out and take a look at it. There's usually no charge for an evaluation, and we can help you determine whether you actually have a loss or not, how important it is in regards to professional mitigation or not, and also whether you want to file a claim on your insurance or not.
And we can certainly help from start to finish, getting with your adjuster to get everything handled and eliminate all the headaches on the homeowner's end, because it's a traumatic experience to have a fire or water damage.
Sure.
So anything we can do to help.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio.